Hello, my name is Bill Berquist, and I'm the co-founder of the Library of Professional Coaching. Uh, I'm presenting today some ideas about how we as coaches might be of assistance in addressing these profound crises related to the virus. In doing that, I want to use a particular metaphor. I want you to imagine there's a group of people standing on the edge of a cliff, and you might want to think of the cliff as the virus. Now, some people are going to fall to the bottom of the cliff. These are the people who are not just infected with the virus, but are very seriously ill. What occurs, of course, what we need to do is to get these people to hospitals, to give them treatments, the ventilators and all. One of our roles as a coach is if we're working with someone who's been infected and is seriously ill, is really encouraging them to go to the hospital. Now, this seems obvious, but obviously there are so many mixed messages out in the media about one, whether you should burden the hospital with your own visit there. On the other hand, the notion, well, if I go to the hospital, then I'm going to be surrounded by other ill people. And what if I don't really have the virus? I shouldn't go. And others are saying, well, you really need to go and you need to get tested. There's tests available. So there's a number of issues. As a coach, we can be a very, very great assistance in working with people in what we're calling tier one, which is the people who fall to the bottom of the cliff. So instead of people falling to the bottom of the cliff, we can put a net up halfway down the cliff. So when they fall, they don't go all the way to the bottom, they drop into a net. So at the bottom of the cliff, this would be called treatment. Halfway down the cliff, that's called amelioration. So this means that the people are infected, but we're asking them to stay at home. We're asking them to hopefully remain in some isolation. We're suggesting they take, some at least the basic pills, aspirin or whatever, to try and deal with the fever, etc. We're trying to make it a bit easier for them. Obviously, at the present time, we don't have a lot of medications that really can help out. There's a lot of misinformation, a lot of speculation about what helps and doesn't help. As a coach, if you have a client who is infected, you could be of great help to them because they're likely to be highly stressed out. They're likely to be involved in a whole lot of concerns about who else they're infecting, other people they work with, their own family members, etc. So there's a lot for them to sort out under conditions of high stress and anxiety. You as a coach can be of great help to them in terms of figuring out how to deal with their own illness. The other thing that we're suggesting, and I think as a coach you can suggest, is that they think about joining one of the support groups that are quickly being assembled all over the world for people who are infected, so they can talk with one another, get mutual support, etc. So this is tier two, that's amelioration. So tier one is direct treatment, hospital typically. Tier two is the net, which ameliorates the illness and hopefully reduces its, not just its immediate impact for the person experiencing illness, but also other people around them by their own isolation, their own self-quarantine. What about the third tier? That is, why are people falling off the cliff? This is prevention. This is probably the area in which people who do personal coaching can be of greatest value to their clients. And that is to work with them on strategies that help them prevent the illness coming into their life individually, their family, their business, whatever. So this Coaching has to do with things like strategies, helping people strategize about how they can reduce the number of contacts with other people. How do you go to the store in a way that minimizes contact? As you know, many of the supermarkets and other stores now, you order the food ahead of time and they deliver it to your car. Many restaurants are doing that now. So how do we reduce the number of visits outside the home? What's the nature of the planning being done? What works? You as a coach can be very helpful. In coaching, we're also often helping people strategize about their life plans. This is a case where their immediate life plans typically need to be changed, and they need to be very thoughtful about it. And once again, under conditions of stress and anxiety, having someone like you as a coach can be of great value. There's a fourth tier. The fourth tier has to do with, why are people standing on the edge of the cliff? Why don't they move away from the cliff? So this moves beyond prevention into looking at broader public policy, having to do with organizations of all kinds determining how to make this a healthier workplace. Organizations essentially finding ways to minimize the exposure, not just to this specific virus, but to viruses in the future. This often means that various social patterns, both at work and in public, are being altered. As now being said, our life may never quite be the same again. So if we're coaching organizations, if we're coaching governments, if we're coaching health institutions, we can be of great help here, introducing various tools that they might want to use in their own planning, tools that enable people to think more systematically. We may be looking at tools for team coaching where people can begin to come together and do thoughtful work together, particularly once again under conditions of stress, anxiety. We can talk about postmortems, coaching various organizations on what they did for this virus and how they can learn from it. So we have 4 different tiers. We have treatment at the bottom of the cliff. We have amelioration in the net halfway down the cliff. We have prevention, people not falling off the cliff. And we have essentially reformation of public policy, organizational structures and all, which is people moving away from the cliff. Each of these provide an opportunity for coaching. Treatment means that the coaching is done immediately. It tends to be very short term, helping people make immediate decisions about going to the hospital and risking it's in many ways a risk assessment. Amelioration is a little bit longer term coaching. That's where you would be working alongside someone who is infected in terms of what are the things they're doing. And then tier 3 is even longer term coaching and looking at prevention strategies. Tier 4 would be the longest term coaching. It might not even begin right now, but it should begin once hopefully the virus begins to drop off. All of these areas are coach related. And what we may be doing is helping to expand what we now call health-based coaching. I have written an article, I wrote it actually several years ago, about these 4 tiers having to do with health-based coaching. I invite you to read my article. It was before the virus came out, but I think as hopefully you're seeing now, it is very much related to our current virus condition. So thank you very much.